Last week, the County of Los Angeles released its annual report detailing a 28% rise in hate crimes there. In a rare spasm of blatant honesty, it's kind of like Tourette's for media folk, the Los Angeles Times titled their article on the subject, "Latino versus Black Violence Drives Hate Crimes in Los Angeles County to 5-Year High." They continue to sprinkle facts throughout the piece. They are covering a statistical report after all. But for everything in between, let's just say they get mighty creative, not to mention desperate. And they're not alone. Take this quote from a 2001 article by Hispanic Republican columnist Raul Lowry Contreras, for example. "When facts smash anti-Hispanic fanatics and scatter their ridiculous and unsubstantiated views to the wind, I laugh." A year later, he wrote, "The fanatic Mexican and Hispanic haters generally do not have facts to back them up, nor statistics that are worthy. They just make up their own facts." Well, we hate neither Mexicans nor Hispanics, but we don't make up our own facts either. Back to last year's race-based hate crimes in Los Angeles County. Anti-black crimes. 71% of the suspects were Latino, 25% white. Anti-Asian Pacific crimes. 57% of suspects were Latino, 30% white. Anti-white crimes. 44% of suspects were Latino and 37% black. Anti-Armenian crimes. 57% of suspects were Latino, 29% white. And anti-Middle Eastern crimes. 43% of suspects were Latino, 29% white, and 14% black. In hate crimes against every race or ethnicity but Latino, Latinos led the way, and usually by a wide margin. So where does the Los Angeles Times go with these facts? Amanda Suskind, Pacific Southwest Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League in Los Angeles, for starters, who places blame on the rise of hate rhetoric online from, wait for it, white supremacist groups. Another go-to person for the LA Times is Brian Levin, Director of, I'm not making this up, the Cal State Bernardino Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism. He names 4 causal factors. The first 3, deepening economic distress, growing ethnic diversity, and population density, can of course be directly tied to the illegal immigration crisis. So he's careful to tack on number 4. Increasingly inflammatory rhetoric over, you guessed it, illegal immigration. Now if you think this story is some sort of gotcha piece about Latino crime, you're wrong. Our gotcha is for the amnesty-loving, bias-driven propaganda machine known as the mainstream media, who can't seem to serve up a plate of good, old-fashioned news without smothering it in a sauce that smells decidedly like bullshit. Unless, of course, you actually believe that either white supremacists or citizens who oppose illegal immigration are responsible for Latinos committing so many of those hate crimes in Los Angeles County. After all, who the hell are we to interrupt your bullshit feast with those pesky little nuggets of truth? The victim, a 14-year-old Sheboygan girl. The criminal, Ricardo Robles Soto, 33, an illegal alien from Mexico. The crime, 1 count of attempted sexual assault and 2 counts of sexual assault. The story. In 2004, a drunk Robles Soto raped the 14-year-old girl, who he knew, after his girlfriend refused to have sex with him. The very next day, the girl awoke to find him attempting to rape her again. When he found out that his attacks had been reported to the police, the scumbag fled the state and was eventually arrested in Dallas. On July 29th, Judge Edward Stengel ordered Robles Soto to serve 9 years in prison. Before sentencing, however, he noted that Soto's situation, quote, is not an unusual one based on what we have seen in this court and in this community. Judge Stengel was referring to the fact that Robles Soto was the 4th illegal alien sentenced for sexually assaulting children in Sheboygan, population 51,000, in just the past 3 months. The other cases involved sexual activity with a disabled 17-year-old girl, sexual contact with an 8- and a 15-year-old girl, and sexual contact with an 8-year-old boy. Of course, if our utterly feckless government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of our country, Ricardo Robles Soto wouldn't have been here to rape a 14-year-old girl. In fact, none of these lowlifes would have been here to sexually assault children in one small American city. And that makes these crimes what? 100% preventable. The victim, a 14-year-old Mexican girl. The criminal, Jesus Perez Laguna, an illegal alien from Mexico. The crimes, human smuggling and harboring illegal aliens for the purpose of prostitution. The story. Last month, Perez Laguna was sentenced to more than 14 years in prison in order to pay $52,500 in restitution for his role in the prostitution ring, which operated in South Carolina. His co-defendant, Ciro Bustos Rosales, also in the country illegally, was sentenced in April. A third indictment was issued against Guadalupe Reyes Rivera, who remains at large. The federal government was quick to pat itself on the back for catching and prosecuting these dirtbags. And don't get us wrong, we applaud the fact that they're behind bars too. But shouldn't the self-congratulation be a little tempered by the fact that these crimes could have been prevented in the first place? Because if our government had been doing its job all along, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of our country, Perez Laguna wouldn't have been here to treat our border like his own personal freeway to crime. And he wouldn't have been here to enslave women and young girls and force them to sell their bodies like meat to the highest bidder. And that makes this disgusting crime what? 100% preventable. Earlier, we talked about race-based hate crime in Los Angeles County and how the media is quick to blame inflammatory rhetoric about illegal immigration, despite the fact that the largest number of both illegal aliens and hate crime perpetrators there are from the same ethnic background, Latino. But among the many Americans for whom race is not the issue, people who recognize that we have a problem and demand a solution, is a vocal group who says that the media lumps them in with those who support amnesty because they're Hispanic. They call themselves You Don't Speak for Me, and we had the chance to talk to several members last week in Postville. Keeping the name of their organization in mind, we'll let them speak for themselves.
Happy. I believe that deportation, they should be deported, number one. Number two, the the employers should pay for what they're doing, jail time, whatever they have to do. But this country has got to come back to the law enforcement and the rule of law.
With that?
Well, we're American Hispanics speaking out on illegal immigration, and of course, when the other side, like Luis Gutierrez, wants to play the race card, the truth is that there's many Hispanics out there that do not want to see open borders and want these people who break our laws deported.
On the issue of border security and enforcing our laws.
It's nothing to do with racism. It has to do with fairness. Let's take the racism card away, because really, let's talk on even ground here. If I go to your house and I start eating all your food and then I start charging you, oh, by the way, I clean your table in your kitchen, so you have to pay me. Do you think that's fair? No. So if we put it that way, then we actually, in simple terms, view these massive immigration as...
Thanks for clicking in to this week's episode of the Blogs for Borders Video Blog Burst. Once again, we'd like to thank our official sponsor from last week's Postville episode, An Old Broad's Ramblings. You can check her out at www.oldbroad.com. And a special thanks to everyone who clicked the Postville or Bust button to help us get to Iowa last week, both to cover the rallies and to talk to some people who live locally to get the real story about the true impact of illegal immigration on one tiny American community. Be sure to come back next week for more news, and stay tuned for an exciting development. A new official Blogs for Borders website is in the works. In the meantime, we invite you to visit freedomfolks.com and click the Support Blogs for Borders button to assist us in our quest to bring you the news ignores. And until next week, be vigilant, be vocal, and be unrelenting. We've got a country to save.